It's worth it. Suck it up, Buttercup.
Morels, sneaky little jerks.
And I think this is why a lot of people get skunked when they're morel hunting, is they're sort of just blindly walking around the forest looking for mushrooms.
That stress to the host often triggers the mycelium, the actual organism underground that makes those mushrooms, to make fruit. The mycelium's going nuts. That host is stressed. They got to put up fruit and move, and there's tons of them.
I found some of the biggest, baddest, and most abundant Morchella. Yellows, blacks, grays, you name it.
And in case you're new here, this is who you're dealing with.
I get excited. I get excited when I'm mushroom hunting. It is what it is, man.
Alright, super stoked to be getting out into the bush for my first time since I got back from my vacation overseas. Oh, and god damn it, I need a haircut. But bad, you're just gonna have to deal with it until I put on a hat, because there are more important things to worry about. We got morels popping probably right now. I'm headed to one of my favorite spots, one of my money spots for morels. Wild turkeys are about. I haven't even been out turkey hunting. We got wild ramps, all kind of spring ephemerals and goodness, and I'm just itching to get out into the bush, and I really need to get a hat on. And hey, how about that? That's better. That's much better, be honest. That's nice for you. Anyway, all nonsense and tomfoolery aside, I haven't been out turkey hunting at all. I went away. I got out one time on the opener, didn't even hear a bird. So I've got a shotgun and my gear in the truck in the back, but I'm not bringing it with me. This is primarily a morel scouting mission. They should be up, and I know this spot real well. I'm getting out later than I normally do. We're getting out onto the back road here, and I'm starting to get excited, man, for those little Christmas trees. All right, I've arrived at the spot I want to start out at. We might move around a little bit, but I want to tell you the point of this video. So I want to give you some morel hunting tips. I want to talk about habitat. I want to talk about some of their tree associations, etc. But since there might also be birds around, you can see I'm decked out in full camo, which is a little weird for mushroom hunting exclusively, right? I'm going to be very quiet as we go along, so probably a lot of that information I'm going to drop in on a voiceover later. I'll talk, but I'm going to be talking like real quiet, super stealth, especially if I start seeing any turkey signs. So just a heads up, but let's get out there, man. I'm super stoked. I can't wait.
And in case you're new here, this is who you're dealing with.
Mushroom nerds unite.
All right, I'm all geared up for shrooms, and have a look at these black flies, man. It seems every single bug in the bush hatched while I was away. And I don't know if you can see them on camera right now, but it's going to be rough out there. Trust me, you're going to see. Bug net, very necessary. Ready to rock? Shall we?
And look at this, not 10 steps off the trail, we've got our provincial flower. This is Trillium grandiflorum, the white trillium. What a beautiful flower, and what a beautiful time of year. Look at these beauties. If you're new to this flower, it is a true spring ephemeral. You'll only ever see it this time of year. It pops, it does what it has to do, and then you won't see it again until next spring.
But we're going to see lots of trilliums as we go. Let's keep moving. I'm stoked for mushrooms.
Hey, buddy.
Now, in case you didn't know, the vast majority of morel species, and I'm talking about true morels in the Morchella genus, are mycorrhizal or ectomycorrhizal, and that means that they have a symbiotic relationship with certain tree types and certain tree species. Certainly all the ones we're looking for today have those associations, and it's a really, really important part of morel hunting, and I think this is why a lot of people get skunked when they're morel hunting, is they're sort of just blindly walking around the forest looking for mushrooms. That's not how experienced mushroom hunters look for morels. We look for trees, we look for tree types, and then we start looking for mushrooms.
And big old mama white ash trees like this one right here are a great place to start in my neck of the woods. And I know you came here for morel mushroom hunting strategies and tips and tricks, and trust me, there's more information about morels and hunting them in this video than you're going to find anywhere else on the internet. But let's just enjoy the spring woods together for a second. The long, cold Canadian winter's finally over, and I've been itching to get out. The winter's hard on us up here, and that's probably the reason I get so damn stoked about spring foraging.
And hey, what do we have here? Look at that. Here, friends, we have Verpa bohemica. And while it's not a true morel in the Morchella genus, it is a very delicious, edible, false morel.
And while I don't particularly love that designation of false morel, I understand why people use it, and it's important that you understand why people use it. Some species outside of the Morchella genus that look, superficially like true morels, can be toxic and can be harmful to you if you eat them. That is not the case with Verpa bohemica. It's actually one of my favorite wild edible mushrooms. It's an ephemeral in the spring, just like all other morels. And I've eaten pounds and pounds and pounds of them over the years because they're so damn good. So edibility, as with all wild mushrooms, is entirely dependent on species. You have to get to know each and every mushroom that you're interested in eating individually, learn it like the back of your hand, be able to identify it as readily as you can identify an apple. And then you can start thinking about eating it. And that's exactly where I'm at with Verpa bohemica. Like I said, I've eaten pounds and pounds of them over the years. I love this mushroom. And I want to tell you more about it. This little guy here is way past prime. We're going to leave that in the bush for the slugs. And I guarantee you this, where there's one, there's more. I'm just getting started, and I guarantee you, probably just steps from here. I just have to look around a little bit. We're gonna find more Verpas.
And sure enough, look, there's that little guy just dropped. I should have took a better look. Look, not steps away from here. Just past that white trillium, who do we see?
Oh yeah, that's a good big old donger, man. Let's go look at him.
Ha ha ha, am I right? Look at that. That's a beautiful specimen right there. And you can see why people refer to these things as dog penises. There's more than a superficial resemblance there for sure. And that is a beautiful keeper. One down.
And we're on the board. And believe me when I tell you, we are just getting started.
And not 30 seconds of looking. Hello, gentlemen. Look, there's two poking out right there. Look at this cute little guy. Hey, buddy. And hey, I got a hot tip for you. Whether you're hunting for morels or any other species of mushroom, when you start getting into that species, the target species that you're looking for, it's important not to just start going hog wild and wandering around in circles. Start making a grid. It's one of the best tips about mushroom hunting that I think a lot of new foragers don't understand, is that once you get onto something, not only are you noticing habitat types, tree associations, etc., you have to be organized in the way that you search. What I mean by making a grid is to start walking in straight lines and start covering sort of known areas of ground. And I generally check it out. I generally use tree types to help me define what that grid's gonna be. Look who we got right here. Am I right? All those, tons of them as far as the eye can see. I'll use that as one grid line, move over, walk back, go over one, walk back, and then start cutting those apart crossways. So check it out, I just did this grid line up here, maybe 40 or 50 feet like that, to that big old ash there. Move down, I'm headed this way, and check it out. Just sometimes changing direction can change your entire perspective. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 of them that I could not see from the other way. Have a look. The grid approach, baby. Am I right? It is. 3 more for the basket. And you want to see something really cool? These things do have a habit of sort of morphing together. You see that great big huge one there? Well, the cap broke off, and that's another thing you should know about Verpas. They are actually quite fragile. They fall apart. Well, look under the cap. That was actually 2 mushrooms that sort of morphed together and fused. Isn't that super cool? Fairly typical. I see that fairly often.
Super cool find. Wild mushrooms are the weirdest, craziest little dudes in nature. I love finding weird morphs like that. And more about Verpas in a minute, but right now you're gonna understand why I dressed in full camo.
And hey, check this out. While I've been making my grid, I found my first turkey sign of the day. You see this open area? That's turkey scratch. And what do I see? Literally, it was like that. Look, the root is still in. I did not plant that there. It's still attached. That's squirrel corn. This is Dicentra canadensis. See those guys right there? They're a little harder to ID or differentiate from their close cousin, the Dutchman's breeches, when they don't have the flower on. But I know this leaf very well, and this is an excellent source of spring food, high quality spring turkey food. And they've been digging it up right in this spot. Look, there's one there that they missed. There's another little tiny one. I bet they got all kinds.
So I'm actually glad I've remained pretty quiet, and I fully camoed out because it means there are birds around, so that's good. Like, I'm probably not going to hunt today. It's getting later in the afternoon, but I could come back here tomorrow and maybe find a bird. Anyway, we'll see. I got enough time that I could put a hunt together if I really ran into a nice big tom or something. But for now, I'm just going slow, steady, quiet, trying not to spook any birds if they are around. And this is really nice sign to run into, man. It means, hey, I got a turkey hunt to do in this neck of the woods soon. But anyway, let's get on the move. More verpas. I'm going to slowly keep moving around and see if there's any morchella up. This is a really important thing I haven't mentioned yet either. Verpa bohemica, typically in my area, and I think from what I've read in most areas, comes up a little bit before the true morels. It's a great indicator species for, hey, the time is right, the soil temperature is good. We'll talk more about that. I'll lay that in on a voiceover. The importance of soil temperature in morel hunting. And you can tell I'm trying to be much quieter all of a sudden because I know there's turkeys. But I'll lay that in on a voiceover. We'll see if we find any morchella, but I want a few more verpas in that basket too. Hey, look, there's another big turkey scratch, and actually just here. Look at this whole zone right here. Turkeys have been having a field day in here, buddy. Digging up on that squirrel corn and maybe some mushrooms. Oh yeah, man, they're going nuts in here. This is awesome. So check it out, just found another little guy, and I'm finding quite a few of these. That might be telling me that I'm not so late after all. We're into the middle or latter part of May, and normally they're massive, and I'm just not seeing very many big ones. But I did see that dead one too, so hard to say. Let's see if that's a pattern. Well, maybe another 15 minutes or so, and it seems the verpas have sort of dried up in this area. For the moment, I think I'm gonna head down into the valley and start looking at some more typical morchella spots. But what that's telling me, that like sort of non-abundance, or that not too many of them really popping quite yet, is that maybe the soil is cooler than I think it is. I should bring a soil temperature thermometer out here one time. And I never do it that way. I just go by signs, who else is popping, what plants are coming up, etc. And it gives me a really good idea of what the soil temperature is. And you see that valley down there? That's right where we're headed. This is a really good morel hunting tip in general. Now, there are exceptions to all the rules with mushroom hunting, but with morels, I have found more often than not that they occur in low-lying areas that have a little more moisture and the right tree types, and that's exactly what this valley is, all the way down for miles that way and miles that way. So I'm just gonna start picking some zones, looking through it, but low-lying areas with the right tree types are always a good bet and worth exploring. And look at this, halfway down the hill, I noticed this little guy. This is sort of confirming my suspicions that I've got more time. That's a tiny, tiny baby little verpa. The cap hasn't even changed color yet, which is kind of weird. But look how small he is. This is sort of confirming my suspicions that the soil, and I feel it, it's cold, man. Maybe they're just starting and I have more time. I'm actually going to leave that little dude, let him grow up, and be a signpost for me when I come back here to turkey hunt or hunt morels again. Maybe I have more time for morels than I thought this year. My vacation fell right at a time when they would have normally been popping, but since it was cold, I kind of felt okay about it. I thought this might happen, but I wasn't sure, and that's why I'm getting out today to scout, check around. Not seeing a ton of verpas. I've seen 0 morchellas, and I think it would have been too cold for them before. Now, here's another thing about morel hunting. When you have spots, and I've got some really good spots, they don't always produce every single year. And last year was a really good morel year. I'll drop some pics in right here and show you. I found some of the biggest, baddest, and most abundant morchella, yellows, blacks, grays, you name it, in this area. So who knows if they're really gonna pop like crazy again this year. It's not often that they go 2 years in a row really crazy like that. It can't happen, of course. But in my experience in this area, that's not how it goes. So it might just be a light year on morels. And that's the thing you have to keep in mind. If you're not hitting in one spot, go somewhere else, man. It's a timing thing usually, but they might just not be fruiting prolifically that year for reasons X, Y, and Z. And it just means you got to move on, which is exactly what I'm going to do. Let's move. Okay, we're at the bottom of that big steep valley. No more sightings along the way, but I'm very, very excited to start snooping around down on this flat bottom.
Who doesn't love snooping around bottoms, am I right?
I love this bottom because it's so many ash trees and old elms and some dying elms and tons of ramps. The soil type is perfect. Hey, there we are, little buddy. Hey guys, look at those lawns. First morchella of the season. That's so exciting. Yeah, bro. Oh man, that's exciting. So these are most likely Morchella americana or esculenta. And they are in absolute super prime shape. Look at, they're so firm and tasty and lovely. And that's very exciting.
Couple of beauties for the basket, and look where we found him, of course.
And what did I tell you? Knowing associated tree types is your best friend in pretty much any kind of mushroom hunting, but especially in morel hunting.
And quickly, while I'm down here, let's talk soil type. Often you're going to find loose, loamy soil to be the place that they're preferring. Ooh, and it is cold, man. You see that kind of stuff? Right where, if you're familiar with them, wild ramps grow. Look at all these ramps right in this spot, too. This is Allium trichocum. This is kind of our local food in my area. This is a fairly rare plant, and it's actually outlawed to pick it or forage for it in other provinces here in Canada, and I know some places in the States. Here we don't have those restrictions because there's acres and acres and acres of them everywhere. I'm understating it. There's thousands and thousands of acres of them right in my neck of the woods specifically, and they often share habitat. When you see Allium trichocum, and that's the guy with the red stem, okay, there's another species here in my neck of the woods called Allium burdickii that has a green stem. Either one of those like this loose, loamy soil, and especially when you get that loose, loamy soil, maybe some plant partners or friends that you often see with morels and the right tree type, look what happens.
Here's the next tip for you. Once you find a couple, make sure you do a good, thorough circumference all the way around that area and find out if there's not more. There usually is, not always, but we're going to find out. I haven't looked at all yet. You saw, I just literally found those. But now I'm going to use that tree as a center point and start doing concentric circles all the way around to its drip line, okay? What's the drip line of a tree, just in case you don't know? It's where the edge of the crown is and where the water drips off the leaves. Okay, we refer to that as the drip line. That's generally, it's not a hard and fast rule, but that's generally sort of the area you're going to find more mushrooms of the same species when they're associating with that tree. It's in the rhizosphere or the root system, within the sort of like branching root system, within the circumference of that root system is where that mycorrhizal association occurs, that mushroom root association happens, where they have that symbiotic relationship where they're sharing nutrients back and forth, etc. And that's where you're going to find most of the mushrooms, is from the tree to the edge of that drip line. It can be a little bit outside of that, but that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to make a little bunch of concentric circles around this big old ash tree. So check it out. I'm going to start right in tight and go all the way around this tree carefully. I'm trying not to step on ramps and stuff and have a snoop. Just see if there's any more right tight. Look, there is. Look at that. There's 3 perfect prime little beauties right there on the other side. 4 that I never would have seen if I didn't do that little circular walk. Oh man, these are just popping. They're super prime. Look at them. Oh man, this is what you dream of. Oh, and look, I've already got a little slug on this one. Like you, buddy. See ya. Come on, guys. You dream of that size. So firm and perfect. That's what we want, friends. Okay, I'm just going to clean up those bottoms. I pulled them, and there's no, in case you're wondering, there's no real difference in whether you pull them or you cut them. Just when you cut them, it's cleaner. The actual organism underground doesn't care what you do. But I just want them nice and clean in my basket. I've got a little nothing that's not already clean, you know, with the brush and with the dirt taken off the bottom. Goes into my basket, and then, you know, they get another little brush when they're at home, and I don't really have to do much else. Look at those little sweeties. All right, score a bunch of little blondies to start. And here's another really good tip. Especially in habitats like this where you got a lot of plants and ramps specifically with big wide leaves, it's always worth sort of just picking them up and having a little snoop and seeing if anybody's around. I can't tell you the number of times I've come back to a spot with ramps and checked it more thoroughly and found tons more just by lifting up those leaves. All right, none under the leaves right in this immediate area, but let's grab our basket and continue our concentric circle and start widening it slowly. Now this area is absolutely covered with ramps, man, so it's going to be a little difficult to do like a little perfect circle because I don't want to walk on them. But I'm going to try and find spots like right there where I can get a foot in, not disturb them too much, hopefully. Get another foot in, and we'll make a concentric circle if it kills us, because there's got to be a few more around here. Let's find out. And the really, really important thing is to not be in a rush during this process. Morels are just like famously hard to spot until you get your eye trained on them. Now, my eye is trained.
I've been doing this for years and I just saw some. So I've got that search image in my head. I'll explain that more maybe in a voiceover. But the important thing is to go slow and steady and just start widening out a few feet at a time and keep turning around that initial tree where you found them. Well, I've just finished my concentric circles, my big long spiral all the way out to the edge of that drip line. Didn't find any more morels, but that's kind of confirming my suspicion that maybe I have more time. I hope I'm right. The soil is really cold when I feel it. Those beauty little blondies were really small and firm, like just popping. So that's a good sign, man. We're going to move. And hey, check out the handiwork of these pileated woodpeckers, man. They just wrecking shop on this poor little dead maple. And that's pretty cool to see, man. They do that to dig bugs out of there. And they're doing a real good job. But this reminds me, I've got another really good tip for you on morel hunting. If this were the right tree type, say that was a dead or dying elm or an ash tree, that stress to the host often triggers the mycelium, the actual organism underground that makes those mushrooms, to make fruit because its host is dead and they got to move. So they got to put up spores and skedaddle out of town, right? So if that had been one of the target tree types that I'm looking for, I would pay special attention to this area because that tree is done.
But alas, it's only a lowly maple and I don't give a shit about it.
Onwards. The biggest, baddest old mama trees in the forest are generally the ones that are holding in terms of morels. But there's just so many ramps. There could be 1,000 morels right here. I would never know. And just absolutely littered with false Solomon seal. This is, Mayanthemum racemosa, I believe, is the true scientific Latin name of this guy. Beautiful plant, but look how many there are. They're just freaking everywhere. And it would be very difficult to spot morels in here, although I'm just gonna stand here for a minute, zen into it. And a lot of times that's the trick, is to not move at all. Is just stand still, start looking, pick the odd one up, etc. But sometimes if you just stand still, those little Christmas trees will pop out at you. And hey, check it out. I remember this spot. So there's a little coyote den here. Okay, I don't think it's in use right now. That would look a lot more trafficked if that were the case. But look, who's sitting right there, right by the den. Okay, so awesome. Let's have a look, little buddy. Yeah, you're good. You're good, homie. You know what? I smell dogs, man. Maybe there is one in there, or was one in there. Maybe I scared him away. But look at that beauty. Who's in there? Clean that guy up, get him in the basket, and we'll have a look around and see if there's more. Well, I've done a concentric circle, my spiral all the way around to the drip line of that tree. Didn't find any more, but it's so thick with ramps and false Solomon seal. They're difficult to spot, and they're so small right now. I bet if I come back in a week or two, they'll be a lot bigger, and I bet I pick a bunch out of this spot. But for now, we're going to leave that little coyote den alone. And just so you understand what I'm doing, that's where that coyote den is, right there. And I'm making a grid across the valley, a little bit up the side of it, moving over a little, picking another good tree, making another line all the way across to the other side, going up a little bit, moving over, etc. So this right here is by far the best example I've seen of a stressed host. That's an ash tree that got absolutely smoked by lightning. There are fragments, splinters all over the forest in a 50-meter radius, maybe more. And look what's happening. Right underneath. The mycelium's going nuts. That host is stressed. They got to put up fruit and move, and there's tons of them. There's a cluster of 4. I see 2 more here. I see 1 there. Look at that beauty, prime specimen. Look at this big fatty here, munched on by a turkey. Look at that hole in the top. Could have been a slug. Look, I see more over there. Look back in here. Hey, buddy, I like you. Anyway, that thing got absolutely smoked. The mycelium is stressed because the host is stressed. And these guys are putting up fruit so they can put up spores and move home and move shop. Look at this beauty. Hey, buddy. Prime. And here's a couple that have been up a little longer. See that guy there? Actually, that one's fairly fresh. But this guy here, look at his top's getting dried out. Now, I don't mind harvesting with tops like that whatsoever. That'll soften right up with some butter and garlic and salt and pep, no problem. Little double. Oh, Oh, look at that fatty boobalati right there. That's a big boy. That is perfect prime. Leaning over crazy, but man, that's a nice mushroom. Look at that beautiful specimen right there. It's Morchella americana right there, I'm pretty sure. And hey, this is cool. I'm surprised I haven't seen more of these so far. They're really small too. This is Sarcocypha austriaca. This is the scarlet elf cup. And this is a harbinger of spring, man. You start seeing this mushroom, you know morels aren't that far off. They're gonna come. But again, the size that I'm seeing of those little guys is telling me that the soil is still cool, and that again is buying me more season, man. I'm feeling real good about that. Normally these things would be 2, 3, 4, 5 times the size. That's a tasty, delicate little mushroom, believe it or not. To eat, I don't eat a ton of them, but they're beautiful to like float on top of a consomme, or just cook with the most neutral oil you could think of, because the flavor is very, very delicate, and you got to cook them like sort of fast and not too hot, because you can destroy the flavor really quick on these. But anyway, that's a whole other video. Associate of the morel, just in time of year that it likes to fruit. You could see these all year, but they start to come really, really early in spring, way before morels in a lot of cases. But when I see these, I know morels aren't far, and they're small, and it's kind of messing me up. I should have seen a lot more of these already. These are the first little tiny ones that I've seen this entire outing. And yeah, man, I'm seeing morels up at the same time, so could be a coincidence. Might just be a late bloomer, but that's weird, man. I love this mushroom.
And hey, before I forget, earlier on, I promised you I was going to talk a little bit more about soil temperature. So let me do that now before I forget, because it's like half the ball game in morel hunting. The morel mycelium won't even think about throwing up a fruit until the soil temperature reaches like 40 at a minimum, 45 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit, or about 10 degrees Celsius. With that 10 degrees Celsius or 50 degrees being optimal. They'll keep fruiting a little higher than that, but at about 60, they're done.
And I think I just spotted one. Yeah, I did. Under this. Very small, honestly. That's not a typical size where you would find morels associating, but in an environment like this where there's so many of these trees and there's so much roots in the ground, there's such a active associated rhizosphere. You can find them anywhere. Look at that little blondie. Little cutie just waking up. Hey there, kid. And got lucky again that I just spotted a little tiny piece of it under all this little baby fall Solomon seal that was coming out. Now we're gonna look around, see if there's any more, see if you got any buddies. Not too bad so far for a little scouting mission in less than an hour. But just before I get moving, I want to show you this. I accidentally kneeled on this ram's leaf right here. Look at it, it's all crushed. I wish I was broadcasting in smell-o-vision. I wish you could smell that. Oh my God, it smells so amazing. I'm gonna take a few leaves at least home, if not a few bulbs, to cook with these morels for dinner, but that's the smell of the spring forest to me, is those ramps, man. They're so abundant in my area. I love this plant. I love the smell of it. That just woke me up. That smell right there is springtime in the central Ontario forest. You come with me, homie. Anyway, let's start looking. Let's do a little. Hey, oh my God, look at that. Right behind that one. Look at, from this angle, you couldn't see it at all. Look at that. Little bastard hiding under there, under these leaves, like he picked all these leaves up with him when he came up. And that's a nice mushroom, man. That's a bigger one. Beautiful. Right beside that other one. That was a foot away, and I didn't see it. Morels, sneaky little jerks. Oh, I see some on the other side of the tree. Let's just not get distracted. I was looking at this area, but look, there's a pair right there. Beautiful, super duper prime little blondies, man. Am I right? Come on now. Come on now. I like you. Haha, look at those little beauties. Oh man, they're just these are textbook, man. Oh hey, there's a broad-winged hawk right above us. Did you hear that? But anyway, right. You're not coming home with me for supper, boys? So you're not going to be able to see them up in these trees somewhere. I think that broad-winged hawk has a nest up here. There she is. Somewhere right here. Way up that hill. You can't tell that's way up a hill there. She's not flying. She's just sitting there. Probably more like that, maybe. Maybe she's just looking at me and doesn't like me. I'll move on, lady. No worries. I'd like to get a shot for you, but I don't see it happening. Let's just enjoy her beautiful song. so cute. And hey, look at these little guys. Here's another harbinger of spring that's often fruiting at the same time as morels. This is dryad saddle. This is Serioporus squamosus. And it's not a mushroom that I harvest a whole lot, but I do like to eat them when they're like this. Look at those perfect little buttons, man. That's what I'm talking about. And I'll show you right above. They get a lot bigger. Now, these ones are, they're still nice, man. That's actually probably a harvestable size. That would be the absolute max. And I might only take the margin there. The inside starts to get a little woody, a little tough. That margin looks pretty good though on those guys. But you see these little tiny buttons? This is the state you want to harvest Serioporus squamosus in. Dryad saddle or the pheasant back mushroom. Tell me that doesn't look like a little pheasant feather. If you're not familiar with this mushroom, it's got a really characteristic pattern on its cap. And one of its it has a bunch of key identifying features. I'm not going to go through them all now. But one of the really telltale signs of a nice, fresh little dryad saddle is the way it smells. It smells like watermelon rind, like a really pronounced smell of watermelon rind. I love that smell. And this is the size I like to find them. I never find them like this. I hardly ever harvest them, but it feels like things are behind, man. Normally, this mushroom are already really big by this time, by like mid to late May, and I'm still seeing buttons. That's freaking awesome. So we got that guy. I'm gonna leave that tiny little guy. I gotta get a knife for those. I'll take maybe margins off those. These are freaking perfect, bud. Come here. Actually, I'm gonna get my knife and cut them off nice. 1 second. There's a two for this one. I'm gonna take this two. Oh yeah, there's some nice ones here, dude. Look at those little guys. Am I right? Perfect. And you know what? Those bigger ones, those medium-sized ones up there that are like, 6 inches around, they're really soft. And I'm gonna take those two. This mushroom is beyond common. There's no fear of over-harvesting it, etc. And I haven't eaten it in a long time. I'm gonna grab them. Hey, it's bigger than I think. That snipe is really big. Oh, and there's a little baby on the other side of it. Awesome. Nice one. That guy too. I'll leave that little one. I left a couple up top, and I want to give you a quick tip on this particular mushroom. Consuming them this big, I don't really advise it, but sometimes, and yeah, these for sure, watch, you can get a really nice tender margin off it. This portion of the mushroom is really great to fry up. I hope that's in frame for you. Okay, something like that all the way around. You'll get the idea. And then this bit here, that's a little woodier, especially near the stipe. You can dehydrate that, powder it, and use it to flavor soups and stews and stuff like that, and it's a really great use for it. All right, camera one died. This is my little backup, a little GoPro. Hope you can hear and see me. I ran out of battery. That was dumb, but I wanted to show you something cool. What is going on here? Look at these two little sumbitches. 1, 2, beautiful. Tipped right over, but associating kind of with no one. That's a maple tree. This little guy right here is a maple tree. And then there's some dead, you know what it probably is? There is a dead ash tree there that fell over. No, but the roots are over there. He fell across the valley this way. It's not from that. Anyway, what I found strange about it is that they're kind of associating with no one. And you can see somebody had a little peck on the top of there. That looks a lot like a turkey peck, man. I don't think that's a slug, man, because he'd still be there. You would have finished her off, I think. He's inside. I don't know. But anyway, that one, there's some good meat on that. I'll save that. And then this guy here, great big old crazy stipe and a big beautiful mushroom that came up quite a while ago. I'd say at least a week, and in perfect shape though, like perfect eater. I just swallowed a bug. Black flies are getting inside this thing. It's awesome. It's worth it. Suck it up, buttercup. See, man, morels, just when you think you know everything about them, and I certainly don't, no one does, they are mysterious, but like associating with no one. Okay. Sure. All right, check it out. I'm moving into it's like a lower lying area where there's sometimes some seasonal standing water. It's not a vernal pool, but it's like, I've seen water here in the past. It's not this year. And what we have in this area, I want you to key in on this.
This is a dead elm tree. Now, this area here, I've keyed in on this tree for many years, and it produced prolifically for a long time now. I think that host tree, that elm, and it's hard to ID. Let me get closer so you can see the bark. There's a bunch that fell off. That's a dead elm tree, okay? Makes sense, right? So that elm tree, it was in the process of dying for a long time, and morels would pop here like crazy for a long time. Now this thing is completely done, as you can see. Even the top is starting to it's going to fall off this year, I think. Look at all the barks coming off. Anyway, she's long dead. The rhizosphere is dead, but every once in a while, it hasn't produced for a few years because it died. Probably, I think it died like 3 years back, I want to say. But every once in a while, like last year, I came through here and there was still 1 or 2 mushrooms hanging around. So we'll just have a quick little snoop about. We'll make that concentric circle all the way around to the drip line. And you never know, man. That's an old dead tree. But, oh, hey, you know who I see on the bottom? But it still could be holding a little bit. Look, there's another little perfect cereoporus. I want to get that guy, actually. Oh, and there's a little one beneath it. I'll leave that little one underneath. See that guy? Hey, you little cute guy. But I'll take that to put with the rest. That's perfect. Oh, it's so perfect. As I was saying, anyway, I'm getting excited. I get excited when I'm mushroom hunting. It is what it is, man. As I was saying, even though it's dead, the mycelium is tough. It's strong. It can hang on for years after that host dies. It's not going to like it. It's not going to last forever. But yeah, there could be the odd little morel still hanging around here. I'm going to poke around under some of this and just have a look. So just a quick note on the ecology of this little pheasantback mushroom that I just harvested. First of all, if you didn't already know, this mushroom is just the fruit of the actual organism, which is inside that substrate, inside the tree. It's eating that tree. That's its job in nature. It's a saprophyte. It's breaking down the lignins in this wood and making soil. That's a topic for a whole other video, but it's a very, very important role this thing plays in nature. But in case you're new to foraging and mushroom hunting specifically, I want you to know that harvesting this mushroom, which is really just the fruit of that organism, doesn't harm it at all. We have a ton of science on this. Now, I've left a little tiny guy there to grow up and spore out. That's cool. You never want to take every single last one of a given specimen when you run into them. The mycelium inside doesn't really care, so I don't want you to think we're harming the forest when we harvest mushrooms. We're not. In a lot of cases, we're doing that mycelium inside a favor, but that's a topic for a whole different video. I just wanted to put that out there. Don't worry about this guy. He's fine.
All right, I'm just sitting here having a little break, and that hawk is following me. She's up right almost overhead of me somewhere here. There she is. This little camera is so wide, but she's right there. Right there. What a pretty bird. I can't zoom with this camera. I wish I could. Maybe she likes me now. You like me. She likes me. I like you. Anyway, I'm running out of light here. Let's move through that low stuff, see if there's any more stragglers hanging around. Who knows? Maybe there's a jackpot of morels in there. I'm not sure. But I'm feeling good about it. Let's move. All right, this is kind of awesome. Like I was saying earlier, I don't often harvest dryad saddle or pheasantback, but I'm seeing so many buttons today. I think I'm going to do a big haul of them and maybe dehydrate them. I'm definitely going to eat a bunch. But just look here. So there's one you wouldn't want. A little bit too big, right? But look at that little cutie. That's what I'm talking about right there. There's tons of little guys all around here. Look at these. Look, guys, look a little bit, maybe even too small. But look, there's one under there. These guys look awesome. They're all the way up and down this down dash here, man. Have a look. Look at that's a perfect little specimen. I see more down there. And look, back on this tree here, where did I just see a bunch? Yeah, here, look at them. Look at all these guys, man. Hey, guys. What's up? You, specifically, I like you. I like the cut of your jib, son. I like the cut of your jib, son. Couple maybe under there. There's more up here. Look at this guy. Look at this. It's a treasure trove of little pheasant buttons. Look at that guy. Yeah, that was a little beat up, maybe not. Oh, that guy's too small. He's a little tiny baby. Look at that guy. Right? Look at these guys down here. Killer. So I'm just going to grab a few of those little buttons, fill out the basket, and then we'll get on the move again. Look at how small that guy is. I'll leave you, buddy. Look at that perfect little beauty. Alright. These guys, no, but that guy I could definitely mess with, buddy.
This guy here is a little big, but that guy, no problem there. Come on, Papa. Honestly, some of these are just like textbook little beauties, man. Look at that. You stay there. And here's an interesting fruiting. Look, they split. You gotta bifurcate right there. That one is actually nice and firm, but I got lots. I'm gonna leave it. I'll just take that little guy. Oh, I dropped him. There he is. Hey, buddy. These two are definitely invited to dinner. Hey, buddy. Oh, that guy's almost too small, but you can't pass it up. I passed up 100 like that. And this little guy under here is not going to be able to spore out very effectively anyway. Might as well grab him, and that's perfect size too. All right, we'll check those in the basket, and I certainly would like to improve our, Morchella to Serioporus ratio here. But again, scouting mission, super, super happy with just what's going on there. But I do gotta shut it down quick. We're running out of light, and the bugs are getting brutal, dude. But I can spend another 10 minutes. No more morels yet, but look at all the ramps in this spot. It's crazy amounts of them. Here's my promise to you. I'm gonna do a whole video on the sustainable harvest of wild ramps soon, but not today, so stay tuned. And hey, who do I see? You handsome guy. Oh, there's two. Look at this handsome guy. And that handsome guy. Hey, buddy. Textbook. You can see the sun is getting low, and I've got a good hike to get out of here. I'm gonna start making a move. Don't think I'm not hunting morels while I go, but I do gotta start moving. Look at this giant white ash tree that was blown down sometime in the winter, probably during the ice storm. But hey, look at that. It's got red trilliums growing right out of it. But anyway, my thought was this would be a great spot for morels. Look at that trillium, man. That is beautiful. We haven't seen too many red ones today. She got pulled right up with the roots. But anyway, again, let me remind you, when the host tree dies, a lot of times the morels throw up a lot of fruit. So I'm going to do a quick scour about all the way around, kind of guess where the drip line might have been, and just see if there's any around, because this is usually the kind of thing that spurs them on. Look at that. That was some wind that ripped this thing out right by those big, giant old roots, man. Crazy. Now, this was for sure recent. Some of these roots look fresh, like they're maybe even still alive, but that's a stressed tree. It's gonna die if it's not already dead. And maybe not this year, but maybe next year, this might be a real banging little spot. Again, because that host went down, they gotta throw up fruit. I think this spot is gonna be freaking deadly next year, man. Again, habitat clues. Habitat is everything in mushroom hunting. These are the signs you look for. I'm gonna drop a pin on this tree in the middle of nowhere, and I'll come back here next spring. And look at all these little beauties underneath the peeling bark of this elm tree. Isn't that crazy? What a weird little fruiting. Look at that. You're coming with me, buddy. Sneaky little guy, sneaking back there. All right, I'm gonna take 3 of those. There we go, beautiful. 4 of them. Look, there's another one down here. Nice. All right, well, that's about all she wrote for the low area. I'm gonna start making my way back up the side hill of this valley. There's a couple of good stands of trees on the way, but it's getting dark. It's always hard to tell on camera, but it's getting a little bit dark out here to see for too much longer, so I'll have a gander as I go. And otherwise, that's a good little haul for like just a little scouting mission. That was the whole point.
And in the fading evening light, I started heading back towards the truck. And it was just as beautiful walking out as it was walking in, but I swear to God, the bugs were growing extra sets of teeth by this point. But that little outing definitely gets the mission accomplished stamp. I can't tell you how good it feels to walk into a forest and walk back out with delicious food.
Well, I gotta say, for just a few hours, that was awesome. Yeah, just under 3 hours. I'm pretty happy with the result. And here's the other thing that I promised you. I kind of skimmed over it, but I am gonna do a video sometime this spring on the sustainable harvest of wild ramps. I teach a whole course on that very subject. It's a touchy one for some people, but it's not gonna be this video, obviously. But I do want to let you know that is coming, so stay tuned. Also, walleyes open. I haven't even been out. I don't even have my boat in the water yet, so stay tuned for a bunch of walleye fishing videos, some turkey hunting videos if I get motivated motivated and can get out of my garden. I'm planting everything out right now, and a ton of organic gardening content. The entire garden is going in. I've got tons of infrastructure projects. I'm planting like crazy, and I gotta just find time to hunt, but I want to.
Mushroom hunters and foragers, experienced and new, I want to thank you for hanging out all the way to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something new, or at least got some food for thought. Chuck a like up on here if you did get something out of it. Let me know what you thought down in the comments. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you next Thursday at 7. Cheers.